Hi, and welcome to Auntie K's. We are here with another tarot reading help. So in tarot reading help, I take a tarot reading that somebody has done for themselves but has struggled to unpack. And the reality is, reading for ourselves is exceptionally difficult. And having another set of eyes on it can really help. And also, I hope that these tarot reading help videos help not just the person who needed their reading unpacked a little bit further, but those of you who are working on your own tarot reading skills and are looking to unpack things a little further. So the tarot spread that we have here is an Empress Spread. It's a spread I wrote, this person, I know this person, and they got this spread from me. And so with the Empress Spread, we look at the Empress energy and ask, what do I need to prune from my past? What is my bloom of the moment? And what will nourish my future? And after shuffling and pulling out those cards, the person then goes through the deck looking for the Empress card, which here is today's future. All right, and they find the card that came before it and the card that came after it to show your relationship to this Empress energy. And understanding your own relationship to the Empress energy can help you with the pruning, recognizing your bloom, and working on what will nourish your future. The person did this reading with this tarot deck. They happen to have a copy because this is my tarot study buddy. And, as my tarot study buddy, they do indeed have a prototype copy of my deck. All right. So there were some cards that they unpacked fairly easily and some that they struggled with. The main thing that this friend got stuck in, which is a really common thing to get stuck in as you're, increasing your knowledge of tarot, and also especially when you're reading for yourself, is the definition of the card. I like to think that tarot is a combination of knowledge and intuition, that the two work together. And as such, it's important to draw on both. What is my knowledge of this card? And what is my intuition saying about it? The third thing that is important to bring in, which was a struggle in some of this, is how does this card actually relate to the question or position in a spread? All right, so let's get into this reading. What to prune from the past? My friend drew the Queen of Swords, or Auntie of Weapons. And this did come out in reverse. And while I show the cards upright, I do recognize when a card is in reverse and when I might want to look at what energies that reverse position is pulling in. That does not mean I exclude upright energies. Much like when I read a card upright, I don't exclude reversed energies. But I am more aware of either the upright or reverse energies when I am looking at that card. And sometimes, those reverse energies are sometimes they're less about reverse definitions and about struggles with that energy. All right. So what to prune from the past? My friend said, I see this, especially with some reverse energies coming in, emotional anxiety, trauma, a need to embrace community in a deeper way, make sure that I'm not alienating those that I'm standing with or fighting with, and slowly building a sense of community. And I'm going to say, yes, those things really do make sense. But when we're thinking about pruning emotional anxieties, which largely do come from traumas, and we're seeing this queen energy upside down, this anti of weapons energy in reverse, you know, I would say to look at the root of that emotional anxiety and trauma. This queen is here to cut out the abuses of the past. And so if this energy for pruning from the past is coming in reverse, I'm going to suggest that saying that, you know, have you cut out the abuses and abusers? You know, I think in this position, a card coming in reverse is more so a reminder that this is an area where, while you might be doing some good work in it, there's some work that you're missing in it. So what aspects of healing these emotional anxieties and traumas are you missing? You know, it takes a lot to heal from anxieties and traumas that they cause, largely because when trauma causes anxiety, especially for marginalized people, those anxieties aren't just in our heads, they're very real. And this anti of weapons, this Zapatista anti of weapons, is very much aware that that these abuses have happened. And, you know, very literally, the Zapatistas cut out their abusers from their communities. They stopped letting their policies and structures and systems and forces into their communities to protect their whole community. So if we're going to stop alienating those we are fighting for, and you know, those we're fighting for could very much be our own children, or you know, those our friends and family circles that we're closest to, those who share our abuses and abusers. Cutting out the abuses and the abusers is a way to not alienating those you're fighting for. So if who you're fighting for is your children, and you know, when we're healing our anxieties and traumas from the past, especially soul wound or generational traumas, we're doing that not just for those who came before us, for the generation, you know, 7 generations past, 7 generations forward. We're doing that for the generations forward. So we can really be alienating those forward generations that we're fighting for, and those generations in our past, which would include our inner child who sits in the past. We can be alienating them if we're trying to heal from these traumas and abuses, but still allowing these abuses and abusers access. All right? That's a way that we can be alienating those in our community. But yeah, I do agree that this is also about slowly building a sense of community. The Zapatistas did. In fact, they spent 10 years building an autonomous sense of community before declaring autonomous communities and nations and land bases. They did work on that very, very, very importantly, and in a whole place kind of idea. And we're going to pull all these together after we go through them. So the Bloom of the Moment card, maybe I'll just leave it here so that the other one stays standing up. The Bloom of the Moment card is the 7 of Drums or Pence, and this also came in reverse. And this was a struggle. How is 7 of Pence, especially in reverse, my bloom of the moment. That's something that's blooming and is amazing and is occurring. And so my friend really got lost as they were stuck in definitions and said my dreams lack good visioning. It's taken years to learn these skills. And so what I'm going to have to say that is adjust vision to see the reality of your dreams. So if your dreams lack good visioning, sometimes that's like really understanding what they are and planning for them and so on and so forth. But another way our dreams can lack good visioning is like really seeing what are those blooms and fruits we're looking for. Because if we don't know what they look like, it's hard to see them. It's not just that, you know, your work has been off because you didn't plan and envision good enough. Your work can be right on target, but you can't see the bloom if you don't recognize it, if you don't know what that bloom is going to look like. And so I'm going to suggest that this card has a number of messages sitting in it. You know, if you get out of that scarcity mindset, you can see your bloom showing. You can see that bloom showing the proof of your future fruit, okay? And that with it sitting in reverse, you're not seeing it. So you might not see the fruits of your labor might not be there yet, but the blooms that promise that fruit, they are there because this is your bloom of the moment. So we know that we are seeing progress and that progress is there, and it's this beautiful, beautiful blooms. And when I think of blooms of the moment promising the fruit that they're going to bear, you know, my favorite blooms are roses and rose hips and apple blossoms and apples, which are actually related to roses. And that's a good analogy, you know, recognize those apple blossoms for the roses that they are. See them, look for it. Also, with this bloom of the moment card, calling you to see the blooms, to recognize it. That's what this card in this position is doing, is say recognize the bloom. Recognize the bloom because it's there. The fruits of your labor are showing themselves in these blooms. So recognize it. And get into the imagery here. You know, this person is they're taking a coffee break because they recognize their progress. They're able to sit down and relax and enjoy their coffee break because they were recognizing their progress, and they are seeing like the blooms. They are seeing the blooms that promise the fruit. Like they have found this log. They have correctly identified it. They have got those early cuts into it to see like, oh, this this down tree is the tree I was looking for. I can take a coffee break now before I continue on this work. I'm not leaving the work. I'm sitting here with it. I'm enjoying it. I'm being fully a part of it, sitting on this log, embracing this as I take my coffee break and picture how I'm moving forward. So your bloom of the moment is saying, those blooms are there. Those blooms are there, my friend. Take a coffee break and see them. What will nourish the future? And here we have the elder or the magician. What will nourish the future? And my friend was able to unpack this card really, really well. And they did stick into the meanings and definitions, some still. And so I do encourage, you know, to take always, always, always. I don't care whether your book gives you this much or 3 pages. Take that as inspiration to then dig into the pictures in the image in your card and the thoughts and inspiration and instincts and intuition that's coming out of those pictures and those stories. Weaving healing and unending learning. I know I need balance. This is what my friend says. They say, I know I need balance of nourishing spirit as well as physical and material. And you know, this elder, they really do. This elder actually happens to be Grandma Cheryl to me. And we see everything going on in this picture. You know, their apartment is tidy, the counters are clear, the herbs are hanging up over the counters, medicine is prepared, and there's a cup of tea or coffee for you and, you know, this elder Grandma Cheryl. Everything is there. And with everything here and in place, with all these physical and material and spiritual and heart things taken care of, you know, pictures of the grandchildren hanging there, they have that ability to sit and listen and take in what you have to say. And yeah, unending learning. I chose Grandma Cheryl because as long as I've known Grandma Cheryl, she's been in school. Grandma Cheryl is still in school. Always taking another class. Always so into and dedicated into learning something more and adding that to their medicine chest. Now, my friend says, I'm intentionally going after this and am getting counseling because I need to make sure that this is whole. Yes, my friend. You understand this position, and, you know, much like there are blooms already there for you to recognize and nourish, yes, you are already on this path. Embrace it. Keep preparing for it. Keep making sure every day that you've got all those little things in order so you can sit and take in the healing that you are working on. All right. So as we see, you know, these three energies coming in as the message from the Empress, we look at what is my friend's relationship to the Empress. And the Empress in this deck is today's future. And today's future nourishes. They nourish the tummy, they nourish the spirit, they nourish the future by teaching them to harvest and understand aspects of food autonomy, or as some people might say, food sovereignty. They bring those understandings from the past into their present so that they can pass them on to the future. And also a remembrance that today's future is embodied in every single queen or auntie within the tarot deck. All right? You know, this auntie is an aspect of this Empress. How is this auntie an aspect of the Empress? Oh, so much, so much. This auntie is cutting out safe space, right? This auntie here is cutting out that safe space for those blooms of the future and for nourishing the future. They're cutting out safe space for all these today's future skills to happen and to occur because they've lived the young today's future. And they are ensuring that, you know, those who are today's future right now have that safe space to do so. Like pruning out those abuses from the past. We see this Empress in relationship to the Empress in, or today's future, in the Seven of Drums. You know, we often think about those relationships to the earth, that earth energy, right? Unshimaka, Mother Earth's energy, as that embodiment of today's future or the Empress. And so we think of that connection with the land and food and harvesting and growing. And you know, the Seven of Drums is very much about planting those seeds, starting those seeds, watching them germinate, watching them bloom, and knowing that there will be this harvest. And, you know, the elder, all the tools and keep learning more tools. And again, we see that energy in today's future, who is using all those tools and learning via teaching, so that, you know, it is passed on and nourishes the future. So we get to my friend's relationship to this Empress card, and we have Justice and the Nine of Drums. Is this relationship to the Empress card? I'm just going to try and stand it up a little bit more. You know what? It's just... I don't want her to totally cover up the other cards, but perhaps she's going to a little bit. We'll see. Okay. So my friend was really uncertain, especially about this Justice card as the Empress. And my friend says, I'm not sure.
Mama, can I go to the Pastor's Herald?
Yes. So my friend says they're not sure that they understand a relationship with the Empress with this Justice card coming out. They say, I think I've been hyper-focused on justice instead of cultivating harvest. If justice defines my relationship to the Empress, then I think I'm disconnected from her. Oh, my dear. The Empress is made of all the queens or aunties, and so arguably Lady Justice too. You know, this auntie of swords that we, or auntie of weapons that you had come forward, you know, is an embodiment of the Empress or today's future, and absolutely an embodiment of the Justice card. Absolutely. Being hyper-focused on justice is part of that pruning process of making sure that those weeds and, you know, that those weeds are cut out of there, that the pesticides are no longer used. This Justice card is, you know, an offshoot of the Auntie of Weapons. The Auntie of Weapons taught and showed and inspired these folks in this card to fight as she did, to embrace this aspect of today's future or the Empress. You know, part of your relationship with the Empress is that you understand that we don't all have the space to be today's future. That we don't all have the space to be today's future. That at a point in your life, you didn't have the space to be today's future. And you are concerned about your children and descendants' space to be and embody today's future. And you are going to be hyper-focused on justice in order to make sure they have that. You are connected to the Empress if part of your relationship to her is understanding that what she is doing here is a fight for a decolonial justice. Yes, you do understand your relationship to the Empress. The Empress isn't all love and light. The Empress had to fight and battle and overcome to be today's future, to be an indigenous today's future. She had to fight and overcome so much. She had to embrace that as much as she was about growing food, she needed to be about taking up this machete. This auntie is an embodiment of today's future. And so, justice is too. You do understand this relationship. And because of your relationship to today's future, you are questioning justice. And that is a healthy relationship. The Seven of Drums needs somebody to question justice and cut space for them to, you know, go out into the woods and be the Seven of Drums and the drum maker. This elder's unending learning lets them see the truth of the justice offered them and fight against it and battle it and beg for something more. You do understand a healthy relationship to today's future or the Empress. And the other side of my friend's relationship to the Empress is the Nine of Drums. And we see somebody who has put savings from, their drum payouts, drumming in other communities and powwows and socials, and has put some of that away for their future. Not their big overall future. That's this, and you're doing it. And this, and you're doing it. But those little needs along the way. Making sure you have, a good thermos to take your coffee out into the woods to have a really relaxing, enjoyable, amazing coffee break. Take out some of that drum payout money and buy yourself the thermos that's going to keep your hottest drinks hot and your coldest drinks cold. Yeah. So my friend says, I've worked hard for my goals. They take time and patience to save towards. I'm as deserving of rewards as others. This is a healing journey means seeing I deserve that. Yes. And you know what? This justice card is part of seeing you deserve this. Because the current so-called justice, that justice we add a question mark to, says you don't deserve the Nine of Drums. This justice, however, steps up and says, yeah, fuck I do. I do fucking deserve it. As raw and as harsh and as from your gut as possible. Those are the times to say, I do fucking deserve it. You do. Right? Taking care of self, being supported, and they see themselves doing a good job of this. And, this friend is an actual friend in my tarot study buddy. I'm going to say, yeah, girl, you are doing a good job of this. The Nine of Pence is a reoccurring card for my friend, and asks them to step back and interflect, to step back and do both interflection and action. All right, yes, yeah. Interflect on, your deservingness of having your needs met while you're doing this work, and this work, and this work, and this work as your own personal healthy, yeah, you're doing a good job, healthy embodiment of today's future. Okay. And so part of the lesson, I think, in this reading is to dig a little bit beyond definitions and look at those pictures and see, the pictures that come before and after the story of that card. What else is in that card? All right? And, yeah. My friend, you are doing well. This is a wonderful, wonderful reading for the Empress Spread, especially with today's future. Okay? Folks, if you are interested in having a reading of yours that you struggled with, get a hold of me. You can contact me at www.auntykytarot, AUNTYKTAROT, or you can email me at auntykinsights. I'm going to write it down so that I read that one out for you, and that is AUNTYKINSIGHTS at gmail.com. And get a hold of me. And to do tarot reading help, you send me pictures of your spread, or an explanation of it, pictures of your cards, and what your understanding of the reading was, and where you struggled, and where you felt confident with it. And I will tap into your own reading and ask the spirits to bring me the intuition that they were bringing you, and unpack it a little further for you, and help you along the way for your next readings. Enjoy!